Hi everyone, Mona Austin here with a review of the Real Housewives of Potomac, Season 2, Episode 11. The ladies are on their last day of the Bermuda trip, but I'm not going to go in order. There are a few things I want to discuss and address before actually getting into the show. Friends, how many of us have them? It, if I am understanding correctly, it seems to me that Karen, Giselle, and Charisse had some sort of relationship prior to this franchise starting. And you would hope that a past relationship would be enough of a foundation to keep the relationship going. I think even Robin had a friendship with Giselle or Charisse. Um, so you would hope that the foundation in that friendship is strong enough that the cameras rolling and being in front of an audience would not um, ruin the relationship. That was my hope for this show because the casting seemed to be a good fit. Now, in this second season, my whole world has been turned upside down because I see women being willing to sort of perform for cameras. And I'm actually a bit taken aback because of the amount of credit I gave some of them. I was excited in this particular episode, though, because it seems like there was some healing that was taking place and they were turning the curve over on some of this emotional stuff that's been happening. So I do want to say, first and foremost, real friendship does not deny itself in front of an audience. Whether you are in a social setting interacting with a new group of people or on television, when you are truly someone's friend, you're their friend. And your friendship should stand the test of time. You should be there for each other. People have been wondering, what sort of this area is like. I live in Northern Virginia. And I am your friendly Potomac neighbor, so I can attest to sort of the social dealings in this area. And you will find that just like tonight's show, people talk freely about their finances. But the other thing that's interesting about that is that people will tend to social climb based off what you have, um, starting with the children. Do we go to this birthday party because their parents work here? Do we go to this church because the people at this church drive these kinds of cars and they are affluent? Do we move into this neighborhood because of the perception of who people are in this neighborhood? Yes, in this area, the answer is yes. Yes, people do make those kinds of decisions. Yes, I am going to move into this neighborhood because there is an abundance of attorneys and doctors and accountants, lots of soccer moms. Yes, people do Google you before becoming friends. Hello? Oh, sorry. I thought someone needed me in the house. Um, but yes, that's how many people are. It took me a while to understand that strange energy I was feeling because I would meet someone and think we hit it off and we, meet again and they were standoffish. Because I don't put material things first and I don't base friendship on whether our friends go to our children go to the same school and those kinds of things and titles and money. That's not who I am and what I lead with. So it's been a challenge getting to know people in this area for the many years that I've lived here without it being pretentious. Because what will happen is when you have a pretentious relationship, and which is what I'm hoping will not happen, but seems to be happening on Potomac. What happens is when you are going through some real stuff, people aren't there for you. They're not. They're just here for that surface layer fluff type of relationship. And if you are over the age of 30, over the age of 40, and you're still allowing people to come into your life, chances are you're looking for something with deeper meaning, because you really already have your friends, your core group of friends. So if you allow people to come in, you want them to be solid, you know? And I just feel like that doesn't happen enough in this area unless you're willing to be about some superficial, unimportant stuff. Unless you're willing to drop your resume or your bank statements. It's just not who I am. So I don't have a whole lot of associates myself for that very reason. But the ones who were in my life before coming here, I know they are genuine and I know that they care about me for me. Just not so sure about that. So let me get into the episode. I'm not sure about this whole friendship thing when it comes to the ladies of Potomac. And I so want my neighbors to be neighborly. The reason I say that is Karen Huger has moved. On her way to the airport, we learned 2 episodes ago that they were moving and that likely it was going to be happening while she was away. I believe her husband had already said something about moving. When she was in Bermuda, the initial encounters were not good, and so she didn't want to open up about her home. So now everybody's thinking she's being standoffish and she's actually hiding something. The main thing they're thinking is she having financial problems? This is where the real friendship piece comes in. If she's having financial problems, what are you as a friend going to do about it? What are you going to do for her? Are you concerned at all about the changes she may be going through, if that is the case? That's how real friends think. They think, wonder what happened with Ray's job. Wonder how that's impacting him. Wonder especially how that's impacting my girlfriend. That's not what's happening. They're talking among themselves, and of course they have a show to do. But the way it's happening indicates to me that people are more concerned about if Karen is hiding something than if she's hurting. That's concerning. Girlfriends put each other's feelings first. True girlfriends. And I would like to see this sisterhood circle gel in that regard because I think they have the ability to do it. I think this show can win in that way. Just like I think it can win. Some people don't agree with me. I've seen some blogs where people don't agree with me. But I think this show can win in showing Monique and her husband, who are a loving couple, who love each other, who love their children, and they are a good example of how to do wealth, how to do love and marriage. And their situation is not corrupt. So I really like that. Some of us want to see this positivity. I am the biggest cheerleader for Potomac in regard to that. I want to see them win. I want to see each of these women win. So my thought is, if Karen is having financial problems, she's absolutely right. It's her business. It's no one else's affair. But what I would like to see is for the sisterhood to become evident and that people, any of those women, say, I hope everything's okay in her household. But they're making these assumptions. They're saying, she moved overnight. That's not even possible. I don't even know where that assumption came from, but it's not true. Her husband was already intending to move while she was away. They make it seem like she came back home and then just moved overnight. I want to also clear up something for people who are not in the area. People have been asking online about this area. Great Falls. If you can just imagine a little piece of Hollywood, that's what Great Falls, Virginia is like. Northern Virginia is a very nicely appointed area. The average income in Fairfax, for example, is over 100K. And there are many counties in the area where people make well over that. Loudoun County is the most affluent county, and that is where many of the athletes, like the Redskins, that's where they reside. And also from the basketball team, the Wizards, that's where they live. They live in these beautiful mansions, and so much of what we do as far as lifestyle oriented stuff, so much of that happens over in Loudoun County. So more than once this season, I know one time they, Ashley and her husband went to a place called iFly. That's not in DC. That's not in Maryland. That's in Virginia, and it's in Loudoun County. If you're in that area, there's so many great lifestyle things to do. I believe even the when they went to the Autobahn car type of place for racing, when they did a double date between Giselle and Karen, that I believe was in Northern Virginia as well. So there are lots of things here for families. They tend to be more upscale. They tend to be, um, excuse me, piece of dust got me. Please forgive me. I want to finish this review, so I'm not going to stop and edit anything out. But I will say, yes, there is money here. And I'm noticing, it's like this. People who have money, as Karen says, they don't really have to talk about it so much. People who are accustomed to money. And you'll see a difference between old money and new money. I think Monique and her husband's money is fairly new, so they address money in a different way than maybe Karen and her husband would. But really, when you have money, you don't really just sit around and talk about it. That's considered poor etiquette. But one thing that is for sure, so for everybody who was putting down Karen's home, you know that when it comes to real estate, it's location, 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 and you should be able to read between the lines. If that home was in Potomac and she could not get it for the amount that she was asking, sure, maybe she needs to do some upgrades to actually get that amount. But with the home being in Potomac and the reputation and those kinds of things, she wasn't going to lose too much on that home, even in a cash sale. And so there's an implication there, even when the other ladies are talking about her home sale, because she said she sold it for cash to someone, I believe, from China or Japan. And in doing that, that's a good sale. And she was asking for 2 point something million. Um, I doubt she got less than one. So, because if they drop the price that drastically, that's just not a good business move. But anyway, people are making all kinds of assumptions about money, and I am finding that lots of people just don't understand money. They don't understand real estate. They don't understand the value of things. They're putting down what her home looks like, what Giselle's home looks like, what Robin's home looks like. Each of those homes probably cost more than the average home anywhere in America, except for the major cities like New York or Miami or Chicago or LA. But people still are coming out of pocket pretty deeply to live in this capital area. So for those of you who are talking about Robin living in a townhome, which is a very nice one, her townhome rent is probably a lot more than many people's homes in this country. And the same thing, of course, for Karen, and the same thing for Giselle. Giselle downsized into a home, and she's still over there in Potomac. But my goodness, on this side, I will tell you, you get more for your money in Virginia. And lots of people move over to Virginia and they commute to Maryland and DC. That is a very normal thing. Location, location, location is the key in real estate. So I'm just displeased. I'm just displeased. I'm not talking so much about the episode because this is bigger than that. I'm displeased with the way they're treating Karen. She's trying to make up with Charisse in this episode. She said these ladies look up to us. We need to make up. That's all fine and good. I just think that she's trying to smooth things over, but sometimes I don't know if Karen really is sincere when it comes down to it. She just wants things to move forward, but she kind of makes a mental note. I think that's what happened because I actually watched right after the show, Watch What Happens Live with Andy Cohen, and Monique and Karen were on the show. Excuse me. And they actually reveal inadvertently that there's still sort of a beef between Karen and Charisse. And it seemed like everything was okay. I mean, when they hugged and they were having their great girl time in Charisse's suite tonight, I was like, whoa, this is a 360 and it's great. Just to find out that they're still beefing. Come on, ladies. You're over 50 and beefing. You live a wonderful life and you're beefing. You have children that are teens and adults and you're beefing. Where in the world do they do that? Well, I suppose Potomac. It's not a good look. It's just not. It's immature. And so I am hoping that there's some growth that comes out of this season for them and for the people who are watching. Because it's silly. It's downright silly. And it needs to change. The good thing is Giselle and Monique are getting along very well. And let's move on to Ashley. So, well, let's stay here for a second because we do have to talk about some things that happened in Bermuda. But them talking about Karen's home, that was one of the things that happened in Bermuda. I'm having to adjust because this light is just not good. Um, so, another thing that happened is that Robin tried to fulfill her homework assignment to date, and she's concluded that she really isn't open to dating, not because she necessarily has anything against dating per se, but just that she wants to be with Juan. In her heart, she still loves him and she wants to be with him. Next episode preview shows him sort of giving her a side eye when she's telling him that she went on this date, and I don't know if Juan's feeling it at all. It doesn't look like it, so it'll be interesting to see that. But I respect what Robin is saying. I do want her to move on, but I respect it because love can have such a stronghold on you. And I know that it can be difficult to just leave a person that you love fully, like just release your heart from them. So I'm hoping that she gets the courage, gets the strength, and follows the advice of her counselor, who I think is fabulous. I think she's very direct, she's caring, and she will keep you on focus, and that's what Robin needs. Um, everybody, oh, everybody was looking great in this episode. I just want to emphasize how pretty Robin looked in her blue dress and her blue and gold necklace. And she was stunning. She's such a pretty lady. And then Ashley. So we're gonna leave off the island. They come back home, and Ashley is about to meet with her husband and some staff members. He's called a meeting, but he asked them to leave briefly so that he can address something with Ashley. Well, while she was away, he explains that he decided to make some changes to her role in the company. He's made her owner, but not owner manager. And I think that that's a step in the right direction for their relationship because, first of all, Ashley had no experience. She hit the ground running. I think she did an incredible job, all things considered, opening and running Oz to the extent that she has. But it did take a toll on her marriage. And since that is a priority for them, he's trying to do something to rekindle their relationship because it was just drowning. They were going nowhere. And I knew that both of them knew that it was in jeopardy. And so they're trying to basically save their marriage. And I think that taking her out of that situation will help with that. And she seems so happy. And I want to see things work with them. I'm nervous about it. I kind of, I don't know. There's still a certain dynamic there where it feels like he treats her like he's her father still. So we'll see how that pans out. But I certainly hope that it works out because I believe Ashley loves him and he loves her. I want love to win if you can't tell. I'm not a person who just loves love for the sake of loving love. I just believe that if you are compatible and you can work things out, love is great. And if you can stay in a marriage relationship, you made a vow and you should keep it. Now, for the most part, and I'm not referencing at all Robin's situation because that's a whole different situation. Now, now that they're back, they also go back into the situation with Karen in the house. And it's no holds barred. I mean, they're all saying things to her like, well, yeah, what you did doesn't make any sense because Karen said that they got a home in Great Falls, but they have an option to purchase it. They're renting until they can figure out what they want to do. Let me say this. I am not criticizing the decision that she made. And I think that the way the women were delving into her business was very personal and it was wrong. It was wrong the way they were trying to get into her affairs, financial affairs. But my opinion is this. If you are about to make another huge decision, which can be life changing and last it can last for the rest of your life, you really want to take your time. You really want to let things marinate and you want to make sure you're doing what you want to do. Because once you make that decision, it's going to be locked in. So I understand Karen saying, hey, I, there's my camera. Karen saying, hey, I am not going to move so fast because we might want to build. You know, they're still contemplating their options. And with that, she took a home with the option of rent to lease her own, I believe. And so people are saying, you know what, that's crazy. Why would she do that? That's a waste of money. Why are Jay-Z and Beyonce doing it? Why do millions of military families do it? Because you're still trying to figure out what you want. And that is why Karen is doing it. I don't understand why that is such a big deal, except this is my opinion where I would not have done it exactly the way Karen is doing it. Rather than rent out a home, I would have been in an apartment. I would have put my furnishings in storage, and then I would have given myself 3 months or 6 months. I'd sign a short lease, and that would also be motivation for me to go ahead and make a decision. And if it was a matter of having something built from the ground up, of course, it would usually take longer than that, but I would have a lease at an apartment complex that would coincide with the building date for a new home. I don't find that they're being genuinely interested in her well-being as friends, and that's the thing that disappoints me the most. Now, Monique is a realtor, and I didn't appreciate her saying, you know, she's blessed to be able to, because they showed her home, which is ginormous. What are you gonna do with all that house? What are you gonna do with all that house, Monique? Yikes! It's humongous. It looks like a tiny resort. Um, I would love to be one of the interior decorators in her home. She's going to need more than one. And I did notice at Sharice's place, she was talking to Dinah, who's the interior decorator for Sharice's champagne room, but we'll get to that in a second. Um, I think that Monique and her husband both, this did not come out in the show, but I have done some additional work, research, and gone on Monique's YouTube page. So Monique is a realtor, and she and her husband both are realtors. I think with her making that comment about Karen that wasn't cool, but I don't think she really gets into the money situation the way other people do. She did say if he's the Black Bill Gates, it would be nice for Karen if she could, you know, take her time doing what she needs to do, like Monique is taking her time. And she said that it was a blessing. And not everybody can do that, even if it is a blessing. Even if they have the money, they might not have the kind of schedule that's conducive to that type of moving. But whatever the case is, it's one of those things where you have to know your own dynamic and your own family and be comfortable with what you are doing for yourself. You cannot allow people to determine how you make your next move. And it just seems like with all these assumptions that are going around, there might be some sort of pressure, which is what I think could be the issue of why Karen is doing this lavish party in the next episode that no one seems to be understanding why she's doing it. But her deciding to rent a place until she knows exactly what she wants is up to her. And I just think they need to cut it out. Now, Cherise has a wine room. She said she wanted to do something for herself. I believe she quoted $92,000 for that room a few episodes back. I would have done it for her for almost half of that, and that would have included my cost. It's a beautiful room. The outcome was stunning. I just know that I could have done more for less money. And no offense to Dinah, I think she has a nice eye, but I love to decorate as well. You won't know it from this room that I'm sitting in because I'm not trying to showcase my personal business like that. I am in my home. But I love to decorate and I understand where to get the materials and things of that nature and still make a good profit. And so for me, um, for the room to be $92,000, I just didn't see $92,000 worth of work. But all the ladies seemed to be very excited for Cherise. She did her big reveal to them of that room, and she had a butler answer the door. She had nice, fancy foods, and I thought it was an appropriate thing to come back to from Bermuda. And her spirit seemed to be higher, so I think that that room really will be a place of healing and upliftment for her. But off camera, she's talking about Karen saying, you know what? I think Karen should have done what I did, and that is to do some upgrades to your home. You can price yourself out of the market. I haven't really looked at the market over there much, but um, $92,000 on top of what that home already cost just because of that room. No, I just don't see it. But it has this beautiful mahogany type wood and her favorite champagnes and everything was built in, a refrigerator. Just beautiful, just plain and simply beautiful. And so I'm happy for Cherise. But what I'm not happy about is uh, whenever they get together and they're talking about these houses, there's some sort of shade. But they didn't do it this time with Cherise. I know she is happy. Gosh, I wish we were not so negative when people are doing something positive for themselves. So everyone was positive about Cherie's champagne room. Um, and she said the dogs can't even come there, so she's so serious about it. But again, Karen can do whatever she wants. Maybe she doesn't want a champagne room for some whatever reason. That maybe is not her thing. Maybe she didn't want to upgrade. She talked about how her kitchen, her white kitchen was just fine. And so, you know what? Maybe it cost her a little bit, but she did what she felt was right for her. And I think that's the best we can ask for anyone. And then I noticed the time is getting pretty long. I'm new to this, so I don't really know how long people do these videos, but I like the show and I like talking about it. So this is a rather lengthy video. I'm at 29 minutes now. I want to wrap at 30. So I will say this, that this, whatever the theme of the show was this time, um, I was disappointed. I don't know what the thing was. It should have had something to do with friends and people not being genuine because that's what's happening. I think people need to get ready to rally around Karen. My opinion is I believe that she's just uncomfortable with the major shifts that are taking place around her. And that's understandable, especially when you have been a stay-at-home mom and your husband is the sole breadwinner and you pretty much rely on him for security. and things have been secure and things have gone well, but now there's about to be another major shift. And that can cause anyone to have some anxiety. And I believe that's probably what's going on with Karen. I appreciate her honesty and candor on camera and also off camera and with the ladies in the group. They should get ready. And she is apparently having a theme of Indian from India. But Monique shows up at this party, this big shebang she's going to do, Karen that is, uh, dressed as a Native American. She looks beautiful though. And the men are there and they're saying, what is this, some charade? Why are they doing this? Like they're trying to cover something up. So there's been a lot of talk about Karen and those finances, and I just want them to get to the bottom of it. Thank you for watching. Please like, share, subscribe. If you have any comments, please place them down below. And thank you so much again for watching.